Welcome to Negocios with BISILIA BOKOKO, Negocios TV. I am here with my great friend, Steve Millington, a friend who I know for a long, long time. And I'm super excited because this is my favorite restaurant, not only in New York, it's one of my favorite restaurants in the world. And I'm going to tell you why. But before we do that, I would like to welcome Steve. Hi, Steve. How are you doing today?
Hi, hi, Basilia. I'm great. I'm so glad to see you. We miss you. I love when you're here. You bring your energy. It's so fantastic.
Yeah, you
New
know
York
that
City's so hot.
you know how
My
much I
face
love
is
to,
so pink.
yeah, I could see that. You know how much I love to lunch in Michael's, and particularly on Wednesdays. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Before we do that, I would love to speak with you about your background because you bring an amazing background. You live in different countries. You did many different things. You are in music. You work with the sports people. You run a restaurant. Tell us a little bit about you.
It's gotten to be very interesting, my life, and it's that sometimes I feel like I'm on a treadmill, running to the next treadmill, to run to the next treadmill. But my life was it was not. It was put before me by my mom, who left my dad when I was quite young, at 2 years old. She married a Thai man, an Oxford-educated Thai man, who wanted us all to move back to Thailand. So we moved to Thailand for about 10 years. And I came back to the States in 1976, and then lived kind of all over the place. I think I moved something like 19 times in 20
Wow.
years.
Wow.
It was just crazy. And I settled on the East Coast, it was a place where my father was, so I would stay with him. And I spent some time on Long Island in Washington, D.C. And then I've been in New York City for about 30 years now. I learned Thai. I learned how to speak the language. I still cook a lot of dishes. My stepfather and mother split up, but I still have a very dear remembrance of Thailand. And it really taught me about hospitality and about how they're very lovely and kind people and very soft and gentle. And I would come back to America sometimes during the summers, and it was such a dichotomy of different worlds. It's very, at the time, very advanced America, and everybody's very, intense and tough, and Thailand is very laid back, and everybody's like, tranquilo, no problema. And America's like, go, 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 go. So I was kind of immersed in both of these worlds, but I really learned about hospitality as a young boy because we had so many amazing people. We would go to these incredible restaurants, and you would literally have someone who was a server kneeling next to you, waiting for what you wanted next. And I didn't know anything. I was a sort of a child, so I didn't really understand that. But it's like their community. It's the way that they're brought up. Is that if this is what you do, this is what you do, and they take such great care about all the foods that they make. And I learned, every kind of different, curry and all of the different noodle dishes and great kayang, which is like a flattened chicken with tamarind and lime juice. And you can have it on the street, or one of my favorites is kway teow nam sani ainosot, and that is a wide flat rice noodle served in sort of a beef stock with little strips of beef and cilantro. So this is what it started my palate out. And I would come back and I would look at America and be like, what, Twinkies? I don't want a Twinkie. I have no way. What are we doing here? It was like a little bit of a culture shock, but I was in the city. I moved into the city at a certain point because I was playing music. I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, and I got my diploma there. But I just wanted to practice. I practiced about 11 or 12 hours a day. I was playing the bass and singing, and I would use a wireless microphone and a wireless bass. And I joined sort of a hard rock band that would play a mix of music, a lot of original music, but also a lot of AC/DC. And we would tour all over Connecticut, Massachusetts, Long Island, all over the sort of eastern part of New York, and then Rhode Island, and all the way up to upper parts of Connecticut. And probably 10 gigs a week sometimes. And it was great, but I would get home all the time. I'd open the refrigerator, and it would be like, I would see, the empty bottle of milk, and I don't even have a beer. Come on, what's going on here? So I started to work at restaurants to supplement my income, and I really didn't have any experience, but I met my great mentor and a Turkish man called Turgut Palici, and he owned a restaurant called Bella Luna on the Upper West Side, and I started working for him, and then I started managing his lunch, and he and I became very, very good friends. We opened a few restaurants together over the years, but we've remained very, very close. He came to the States with, $8 in his pocket and made himself, quite a successful restaurateur. And then about 23 years ago, my wife and I wanted to have a baby. And I was coming home at 4 or 5 in the morning all the time from working at restaurants and playing music. And she said, ¿Qué pasó? When are you going to be able to have a baby if we keep doing this life? And I said, okay, I got it. So she looked at the New York Times and saw an ad for Michael's New York, and they needed a breakfast manager. And so I applied for the job, and I met Michael. It was sort of like looking in the mirror, like, wait a minute, I know you. Oh, no, I don't. Okay, new guy. So I worked here for, since 1998. And I was here for about a year and a half before I found out that his stepfather is my godfather. And that tells you how small the world is. My mother was looking through my baby books going, do you want to keep these? And I said, oh, yeah, I'll keep them. And I'm looking through them, and I see this guy's name. His name is Red Ostel. And I see the recurring name and then a picture of this guy holding me. And I'm like, oh, my God, my dad and he worked together at Time Magazine. And my father brought Time Magazine to the Southeast Asian market with Rhett as well. And it was just, I couldn't believe it. I said to the guy, I said, I finally met him. I said, well, where's my Camaro? Where's my new car? I graduated high school.
That's an incredible
So
story.
it's very interesting. And then, there's a lot of history from then to now about how random can you get, right? It's crazy. It's crazy.
It is incredible. But tell us about
I'm
Michael's. What is Michael's? It's an amazing landmark, but what is Michael's?
Well, it's an interesting question. First of all, I think and it's easy to forget this, but what Michael's is the people inside Michael's. It's the individuals that make us up, the two incredible hosts in the daytime of L'Oreal and Joanna, my service staff, the managers I have, and it starts with Michael. I guess the expression is the head. I forget what it is, but when you have a bad company, it's like it's bad from the top. When you have a good company, it's good from the top. And so my first order of business is really to say that Michael is a wonderful man. He's very fair and honest. He loves food. He's very intelligent, and so I wanted to learn from him about what this business was. And what I learned, when I came to work here, I was coming from working at a place that was doing maybe 500 people a night, 500 dinners a night. So it was crazy. And I came here and it was more like 125, 130 lunches. And I said, wow, this is pretty, there's not a lot of people here. But then I started to evaluate the people that were coming in. And that was what was interesting, is that suddenly you realize that it wasn't about quantity, it was about quality. And the quality of the people that were here were actors and writers and artists and politicians and people that literally move the world, business people that, absolutely make the city and sometimes huge companies run. I met Jeff Bezos here many years ago. The list is so long of the people that have come into this restaurant, and each person like that brings a sort of an energy that makes us react. And we're very knowledgeable about our clients. We try to stay on top of their lives and their careers. So when somebody does get a promotion, we can say, hey, congratulations, and maybe bring them a little plate that says we love you or something like that, because we want them to know that we care about them and we're thinking about them. And so these relationships created an amazing sort of tidal wave of things that made us successful. In 2001, we had a very special lunch that was hosted by a guy called Joe Armstrong. And Joe was the creator with Jan Wenner of Rolling Stone many years ago. And also he made a great magazine called New West in California. Again, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, something like that. He's an older dude, but he's got a heart of a 10-year-old kid. He's a very, very sweet guy still. And he had a lunch where after Bill Clinton came out of office, he invited Bill Clinton, Ann Richards, Liz Smith, Robin Williams, Billy Crystal, their wives, and they all came to a lunch. And at that lunch, somebody came along and took a picture. And that picture went all over the world. It went to Newsweek, and then it was on TV. Wow. I think Bill Clinton was on, or Robin Williams was on David Letterman. They held up the magazine. So it was one of those very fortunate things. We get a lot of press because we provide a wonderful, beautiful product. It starts with the food and Michael's psychology about how we procure our food, the seasonal ingredients that we provide. And so people, I'm missing that because the grandiose personality of the restaurant is so giant, but it all comes back down to my great chef Kyung Up Lim and the creation of the food and Michael's ability to say, you guys do what you guys do, and I'll just watch and step back. And if he needs to give us a little advice or a little push, he's there for us. So I don't know if that answers some of your question. It's a pretty big question.
Absolutely, and of course, and I love it because I remember years ago when I met you, one thing that really I love about you is how you say it. You care about people. You follow people's careers. You see us all grow, and you really take care of it. And also, you help us to grow. I will never, ever forget one day that I'm having lunch there, and you said, hey, I think you need to meet this guy. And you just pulled me out of the table and you told me, go and meet this guy. And then we became great friends. And this is who you are, that you really care about your people and you're a great connector. You're able to connect people.
Well, it's important. That's an important component, I think, of any a maitre d'. I'm a general manager. I'm the chief financial officer. But when it comes right down to it, I'm a performer and I call myself a super mocker because I can see something where I see two sparks and I go, these are two individuals that will definitely make something happen if I can get them together. We actually, a couple of movies have started that way because I said, I recognized somebody had a great story and I said, you need to meet this person because this is an important thing. And I love when that kind of thing happens. It makes me so happy, to watch that connection and see people flourish and kind of, suddenly see what I saw and have the moments of excitement and joy. And it's so much is brought around the table, and I mean, you as a Spanish lady, how many wonderful family meals have you had, around a tapas table where everybody's talking and drinking and having a great time. And, sometimes irreplaceable memories that can never, that always stay with you. And you talk about it later, you go, oh, God, wasn't that wonderful to see Mom with this, that lunch or dinner we did, that's why we're here, is we want to bring those people together and we want to create that excitement and the mirth that happens here.
Yeah, I have a question. Can you tell us the difference between the people who go to breakfast? Because I know breakfast in Michael's from 8 o'clock to 9 a.m. The most powerful people in the city are having breakfast in Michael's. And then you have the lunch and it's a completely different flow of people. And then you have the dinners. What is the difference between the different clientele? Can you tell us, particularly for the Spaniards who they have never been in Michael's?
Do they actually get up for breakfast there? No, I'm kidding. They go, come on. It's 3 a.m. Let's go out.
Not at 8 o'clock. Not at 8 o'clock.
No. It's a very cool breakfast. I think the way I equate breakfast is, for me, breakfast is one of the best breakfasts in New York City because we are very timely. We get food out properly. We serve a clientele, mostly business people, a lot of commercial real estate, but mostly a more of a high-end business community that expects things to move fast, to have everything we get because of the legacy of the restaurant. We get products that are beautiful, berries that are incredibly fresh. We make an amazing pancake that people love. We have a great California omelet that has avocado and sour cream and little bits of bacon lardon. People at breakfast really want to keep things moving. And when I started here, breakfast was very slow. You would get your food, it would take too long. Then you suddenly looked at your watch and said, I have a meeting at 9 o'clock, I've got to go. Lunch is a little bit like half of that. People are still in a bit of a hurry, but there's a lot more people watching. You know, at breakfast time, you're watching people, but at lunch, that's the exciting time. You know, I'll never forget in that lunch where Bill Clinton was there, when he came down the stairs, everybody in the restaurant stopped and watched and looked. And, you know, the effect he had on the women was great. They were all, it's Bill. You know, it was great. And so there's a lot of that. You know, we're a salad place often at lunch, but sometimes we have a almost 800 label wine list. And so at lunch, sometimes somebody comes and says, you know what, I want to have a Petrus today. I want to sit and have some caviar. I want to make this a really big lunch. So that'll be sprawled out. Dinner is more relaxed. It's calmer. It's a great date restaurant. You know, people will come here on a first or a second date. A lot of people have met here. Deborah Roberts and Al Roker had their first date at Michael's. And, you know, they still talk about it, and they'll come back for their anniversary, which is great. To me, that's the biggest compliment of all, is if you create that love and that romance, and then it happens again, forget it. Then you're hitting it out of the park. It's the way it goes.
In Atlanta, you see so many amazing faces. I see so many actors and actresses and TV anchors. It's typical.
It's remarkable. I made a list. I woke up this morning and I was thinking about our interview, and I said, you know what? Let me just jot down a list. Can I read through the list of these? Are people?
Absolutely. We would love to know.
Sometimes advanced relationships where I've become friends with these people, and it is very moving for me. So I put it in order of drama, art, business, comedy, music, and politics. Okay, so it's kind of long, so stop me if I go too long here. Okay, so for drama, Sigourney Weaver, Glenn Close, Harrison Ford, Sidney Poitier, Hume Cronin, Patrick Stewart, Matt Damon, Kevin Costner, Paul Newman, Kevin Kline. Kevin Kline is pretty much a regular. For art, Frank Stella has had his 75th birthday here. David Hockney, the owner's wife, Kim McCarty, who's quite a brilliant artist, has lunches here all the time with great people and dinners. Business, Warren Buffett, Paul Singer, Bill Ackman, Jim Chanos. Comedy people, Steve Martin, many times. Mel Brooks, also many times. Robin Williams, Billy Crystal, as I said, Burt Reynolds, Eric Idle, Alan Rickman, Michael Keaton, Michael Douglas. His dad, Kirk, and Ann Douglas used to come all the time and sit in the corner. It was so sweet. I mean, the guy was like 101 years old. Unbelievable. A lot of sports people. Serena Williams comes here when she's in town, which is a great honor. She's a lovely person. I have a funny story about her. I'll tell you if I could after this. All of my New York Jets players. I work for the New York Jets. I run a great hospitality suite called the Green Room. During the season, the American football season starts in about the middle of August and goes until January, early February. And that's awesome. For music people, I've sang happy birthday to almost all my favorite musicians. Roger Daltrey, and he's the looks of like, guys, because he could sing a little bit, that guy. Peter Frampton, Elvis Costello, Fats Domino, Dolly Parton, Jay-Z, Steve Vai, Steven Tyler, the Dixie Chicks, Public Enemy, Bette Midler, Lang Lang, David Coverdale of Whitesnake. For politics, Barack Obama has been here, Bill Clinton, Al Gore, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, his family, Ann Richards, the former governor of Texas, was here. And, you know, that's just a partial list.
I know that. I know that. It's incredible, but it's just to show a hint about what is Michael's and what represents for us as New Yorkers. And that leads me to the next question. You have to close last March in 2020, and you've been 1 year closed. How was that for you, for your staff, and how did you feel?
You know, I think all of us thought after a couple of weeks, you know, the beginning of January, I heard a rumor that there was a virus out there. I think all of us kind of got little inklings of this happening. And we really didn't know what was going to happen. And so by the end of February, things started to get a little strange. We realized that this was not just something that was going to go away. And then we ended up closing our doors on March 13th. And it was very traumatic. Everybody thought, okay, in a couple of weeks, this is going to, we're going to move past this, right? And then that didn't happen. And so I tried to keep in touch with my staff as much as possible. I would send them weekly emails explaining, what my thoughts were. I was talking to Michael, I'd say every day for a long time, for the first 3 months, at least we would talk at least a couple times, maybe even a day or at least every other day just to say, what do you think? And our thought was maybe we could open by the summer, and then maybe we could open by the fall. And then it was like, this is not going away, and we don't want to be in a situation where somebody gets sick and we have to spread this. And it was terrible, and people were very scared. I had a terrible loss in my life. My wife passed away in March, almost the same. I had a terrible loss. My wife died, and then the restaurant closed. So for me as a person, it was like a very strange vacuum where all of my purpose was gone. I'm not touching people. I'm not talking to people. I'm not getting hugs and kisses. I'm not, being able to be who I am at all. And plus I have 2 children, so I had to really be the best dad I could. And I had to wake up and really be strong for them because they didn't know, children don't know anything but what they see their parents are doing. So I was holding many things in my arms, trying to make sure that we were okay. And as time passed on, I started to play a lot of music. I wrote a lot of songs. I got back into the spiritual part of myself. I asked everybody else to do the same. We did a GoFundMe page for the restaurant that raised a lot of money, and a lot of amazing people donated. And I was able to give everybody a decent amount of money just to provide for them for a little while as an emergency backup. And people were very grateful. When we started to go back into business, I got more than half of our staff returned. And that to me was an indicator of how much people cared about the restaurant and wanted to stay a part of something that they believed in. And that was a great testament. It gave my heart a big boost. And, we've been back since April 21st this year.
And how's business going so far? Is New York back?
It's good. It's New York. I would say New York is 70% back. I think Broadway opening is going to make a big deal. I think tourism returning is going to make a big deal. I really think that the rest of the world has to get vaccinated and get on board and get focused on the fact that if we are 70 to 80% vaccinated worldwide, we can move around again. I mean, I don't know about you, but I missed traveling so much. And
I do all the time.
Incredible. I mean, the caveat of COVID was that you have all this free time and can do nothing.
That's true.
It was crazy for so many.
What you will say that is the secret for Michael's be the kind of restaurant that it is? What is the secret? Because we know that in New York, we see so many restaurants in and out. 23 years. What makes you stay?
It starts with Michael. Having somebody that has his dream as a young boy was to do what he does. And so when you have somebody with such a powerful vision that also isn't someone that tries to micromanage and control everything, but understands that he's hired people that can be a part of him. It's the people that bring that passion and the quality and the consistency. I often, this is going to sound terrible, but I will sometimes sit with my staff and I will talk about a guy called Ray Kroc. And Ray Kroc was a visionary. He had a dream about what he wanted to do, and he created this restaurant called McDonald's. And everything he did was extremely detail-oriented in the way that he implemented every aspect of his vision of what he wanted to do. He's a fast food guy, and I get it. We're a fine dining place. And when I hire someone, they go through about between 20 to 40 hours of training initially, and then they're on probation for 30 days because we're watching to see how they are. I will hire someone with very little experience, but if they have passion and they have love in their eyes, in their heart, that can be transformed and they can be taught to be a wonderful hospitality person that gives pleasure and joy to people and understands and can, you know, feel when somebody's having a fight with their wife or if something's a celebration, they get it and we talk about it. Communication is a big part of why we're still here as well.
Well, I love your way of leadership too. And I think you have a lot of lessons to give us, not only of resilience, because I know with all your loss, which I'm very sorry about it, and everything that you went through, you always have a beautiful smile in your face. You bring all this amazing energy. And I know how the staff care about you. And also through these years, I've been going to Michael for almost 20 years, and I have seen it that I see the same stuff over and over again. They even remember that I used to have a sparkling water, or Mario would tell me, this is the kind of Pinot Noir that you like. And people remember, and that's your gift. And what is the tips that you will give, like to be managing such a beautiful dining place?
Try to not get too caught up with the things that, you know, don't sweat the small stuff. Try to look at the big picture as often as possible. Try to remember, even though you're dealing with today, to look at tomorrow. Try to, when you want to really attack someone, if they're doing something wrong, to stop, take a breath and go, maybe we should try to do it this way. And that's maturity. I didn't have that. I try not to be too close to people because I feel like, you know, they need to observe me as somebody that's running the restaurant, and that is an important part because you know, I don't like to be a hard guy, but I do like to make sure that people understand that I have a certain expectation of quality. And you know, it comes from Michael, from Michael's down, and that's partially why I'm here 20 years later, is that he and I have the same vision of hospitality. We want people to feel great and be happy and have joy and understand that this can be a little alcove away from some of the craziness in their life, where they can come and be treated kindly and with love, and they can have food that makes them feel great. You eat here, you leave for the rest of the day, you're feeling energized, and maybe you saw some friends and you have a nice feeling in your heart, and that's important.
Yeah, well, this is a beautiful way to close this interview. And you will see me a lot during this fall because I'm back in New York and I'm back in Michael's eating lunch in my favorite spot and looking at your beautiful smile and all of this stuff who I really care for so much. So thank you, Michael.
We love you. We love you, Basilia.
Thank you so much, Steve, the best manager. And you know what, it is the truth. The food is fantastic. I really give faith of it. It's not just because of the great company that you have and the atmosphere, it's also the food.
Thank you so much, my dear. I miss you. I look forward to seeing you. Have safe travels, okay?
Of course I will, and I will be back. And I have to tell something. There is always amazing Serrano ham. Always is in the menu. I have to say that for my Spanish peers.
We gotta have it. Oh yeah, and we do the black-footed pig as well. The
Ibérico, the jamón ibérico.
Yes, jamón ibérico. That's right. So delicious. That comes around with a nice melon. Oh yeah. Yeah. Forget about it. Delicious. Yeah. Sabroso. Okay, mi amor. Hasta luego. Chao. Gracias también.
Gracias.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye. Okay, bye-bye.